This conference, like the name of it, is the year ahead, and you guys all have some very cool projects coming up. Christina, you just opened a fantastic flagship right in the Nomad Hotel. Stephen Starr, you have Veronica coming in the museum that I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing.
Fotografiska.
Thank you, that one.
Swedish
And
Photography Museum. Thank you.
Also in Nomad. Simon, you are doing something outside New York City, specifically
Yes.
Miami. So I want to talk about how you guys came to these projects, because what chefs and restaurateurs do basically changes the game for everyone. Like what you guys do, people follow. So I want to talk about how you came to these projects and what it means, like how it's going to, like why that means, like for us now, we're going to all want to build our own cake next time we go to a bakery and want to eat in a museum, and now we have to go to Miami. So Christina.
We just opened last Saturday our biggest store yet in our portfolio of sort of quirky American-style bakeries. It's 5,000 square feet compared, it's store number 18, but it's compared to our average square foot in New York City for a store is 500 square feet. And we made that decision specifically because we are always sort of like stress testing what we believe like the model of our bakery business is. We have brick and mortar presence. We do a ton of online business as well through shipping care packages through the US, but we're always, as the world around us changes faster than ever, we're always asking ourselves like, who are our people? Where is our community? How are we meeting them? How are we meeting them currently? And how are we not meeting them that we could be meeting them? In 2018, we spent a ton of time building stores in other markets in this larger sort of flagship model where we are taking down 3,000, 4,000 square feet of space. And in what we learned in doing that in Los Angeles and in Washington, D.C., as well as building a few more stores in other markets like Boston, we really wanted to stress test what taking down a larger footprint in New York City looks like. One, because it's where we opened Milk Bar 11 years ago. Two, because we have the economics of our 500 square foot brick and mortar business. And our theory is, how do we prove out revenue and EBITDA by square footage if the only thing we know is 250 to 750 square feet? Like, can we actually expand this out in a meaningful way? And for us, it was also like stress testing the opportunity of, we have a lot more in our imaginations than we can house either online or in these tiny footprints, and can we create a store that's a manifestation of all of the things that we are, that is going to drive a deeper love of the brand and a better business model, even though it's going to be harder to measure. Like, how do you measure the magic of letting someone design the giant cookie of their dreams in ways that are going to play out beyond just the sale we make at a register?
I want to like check in here what those crazy cookies look like. Stephen, you're about to celebrate your 25th year, right? Building restaurant.
My birthday.
Happy birthday.
My 25th.
Right?
Yeah.
But you've done, I mean, I have to say, like, for some legacy brands, 25 years is not that long. In the restaurant business, it's forever, ever.
Right.
And you've done a fantastic job of evolving what you do. And so you have places like Budokan that people are addicted to, and yet you opened Pastis this year, which is the hottest restaurant opening of the year. So, yay, Pastis. So how do you keep getting inspired? Like, how do you keep finding, where do you go for ideas and figure out, like, what's going to happen next? Because I feel like you see around corners, basically.
You know, my thing is much more complex than that. And it's not as efficient as the way she thinks. It's really, it just comes to me. Not like mystically, but I'm not that organized. I just think of something, or I'll see something, and it will inspire me to do something else. So there's no system. I mean, it drives business people crazy. People, you know, private equity people that have looked at our company, and they go, well, what's your plan? And I said, I don't really have a plan, right? What's your strategy? What's your exit strategy? And I said, I don't really know. I just, you know, I really don't. I'm not trying to be flaky here, because, of course, when I put my mind to it, it becomes a very efficient process in opening. But Pastis, for instance, was an accident, right? I was talking to Keith's daughter, Sophie, Keith McNally's daughter, and she had told me her father had some medical issues, and that would I be interested in maybe participating and getting involved. And that just one thing happened after another. Some of the people that work for me told me not to do it, right? But I knew that that brand was magic. You know, what I think is that I'm sort of, you know, I come from the music business before I did all this. And I think it's almost like an A&R person at a record company looking for a new band. I sort of had that little thing. I'm always looking for a new band, the next big thing. And Pastis had already been here. But I knew that that restaurant, when resurrected, could be brand new and feel brand new. So there's no process. The inspiration comes from traveling, comes from just an accident or listening to a song, and then just opportunities that thankfully, when you get to the position I'm in, opportunities start to happen, right? I'm talking to this guy, I never met him before, and there may be an opportunity to do something
Oh
together
my gosh,
in
you
another
guys
market.
make a deal
Yeah,
on
we'll
stage.
we'll make a deal right here.
Let's go to Philly.
So that's the best I can do in explaining it.
That's cryptic, but but you're in Miami, Simon. That's where you're going. That's
Yes.
where you see your next opportunity. And so I think it's interesting that you have a restaurant that has been so hot. I have to say there are not that many restaurants that move the needle across Bloomberg. But when this crazy Peter Luger review just came out a couple weeks ago, everybody was like, Cote. I'm going to Cote. So talk about how you chose Miami and why you decided not to open something like down in the financial center or somewhere else.
Sure. So I think I associate very much with Steven. So I visited, so with Cote had a great run, and we're exploring where to go next. So we explored Las Vegas, we explored Los Angeles, we also explored Miami, as well as a few other cities. So I visited all of them, and it was more of an intuitive thing. Like, gut told me, you know, I love Miami, and I love to have fun. So Miami was a very fun city. And then I fell in love with the city. First, I feel like I should fall in love with the city, and then figure out how to bring what I have to the city. And I thought the dining scene was maturing in a really exciting way. And Miami diners were very unique. You know, they like to get really dressed up to go out, and dining thing was very much of an entertaining and exciting experience. And I love that spirit, so I wanted to kind of capture that. And when I looked at my product, which is Korean Steakhouse, which has that, it's really convivial, interactive, a lot of fun, and we like to get people lit. You know, that's our mission. And and so we thought that, like, where can I take this? I thought Las Vegas was obviously one idea, but I thought the close proximity, same time zone, and emerging, like there's an emerging dining scene that was emerging. So we thought that, and then from then on, I kept on thinking about what makes Miami such an attractive market is, so Cote is the brand that we want to continuously grow. So once you kind of stabilize in Miami, it would open definitely a door down towards South America and Latin America. And they love beef, and I love beef, and we thought that was a perfect match.
So is Miami the next Las Vegas?
I think it's Miami is Vegas with beach.
Stephen?
I think it's a good idea what he's doing in Miami. I know where he's going. It's an emerging area, the design district. And in Miami, you know, I have restaurants there, and they do very well. But in Miami, the audience is very wealthy, but maybe not as food savvy as the people are here. So I think steak, meat, but done in this really fun, energetic way, will be a smash hit in Miami. So you have to be careful in these markets. If you shoot too high, some of these markets won't get it. You know, I think there's been a couple very good restaurants that opened in Miami. I think maybe Danielle or one of those French guys years ago, and the market didn't, even though the people had a lot of money, it was too fancy for them. It was too uptight. They go out in packs in Miami, like 10 people, 8 people. They want to have fun, and they don't want to be quiet. So I think this is
That sounds like Coke.
great idea.
So speaking of meat, I want to talk about like what some concerns are for 2020, and sustainability is a big word here at Bloomberg. And so Simon, you and I have had conversations about, I know that as much beef as you serve, you have a question about sourcing it in a thoughtful way.
Sure.
And you have, I think, said words like steak tax or beef something, charging for beef. Is that something that you are thinking about now?
Yeah, so I believe the next word, I mean, after sustainability, I think it's a regenerative agriculture. Because what's sustained clearly doesn't really work out. So we need to actually be not neutral, but net negative in carbon emissions and whatnot. So, but that being said, beef gets such a bad rep because it's used in a different way, right? Industrial farming and feedlots, they actually produce something that's very destructive. But I kind of use this analogy. Like, a beef is like no different than, like, say, a shovel. If you take the shovel and hit someone and then bury that person, it's a murder weapon. But if you use the shovel to actually plant trees, it actually becomes a tool for the future. I feel like regenerative farming, a beef that is actually part of regenerative farming is absolutely such an important tool in creating even greener and actually more sustainable and regenerative, part of regenerativeness. But that being said, as far as beef tax, so it's definitely not going to be taxed. I don't think anyone here really likes the word tax, you know? Tax is something that's not the right word, but we are thinking that you know, there is an organization that actually assess the carbon emissions of the operation and the ingredients, and then they assess it, and then they actually invoice you. I believe it's $15 and $1.50 goes to the organization. $15 for 1 ton of carbon that was emitted. Wow. So what you do is, like, restaurants can actually pay this organization $16.50 per ton, and $15 goes to a local farmer, and that farmer will sequester 1 ton of carbon in their farming
I love
practice.
the idea of that.
Yeah.
Stephen, sustainability. I think you have some thoughts.
No, I have thoughts. I don't really understand what he just said. That's first of all. And it sounds like a marketing strategy of someone. Because cows in the end, and I want you to be in business forever, cows in the end are no good for the environment, I don't think, right? And I have steakhouses.
I totally disagree, but.
Uh-oh.
Our deal
Christina,
until
we'll
he's
figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Solve this.
Leave it to the girls to figure it
But
out. We've got this.
I believe sustainability, we do it in all of our restaurants as best as we can. The new restaurant that we're doing, Veronica, which is in the Swedish Museum, the philosophy there is sustainability, very serious. The Swedish company that owns it are very serious about it and how we buy our food and where we buy our food, even more so than we do already. So of course, it's like not supporting apple pie and mom. We're 100% behind it, and I'm very concerned about the environment. And I'm a hypocrite because I have steakhouses, and I know that probably we shouldn't be raising cows. I think he thinks I'm wrong, but I don't know yet. I mean, everything I've read, we should be vegetarians.
The ultimate
right?
meat cow's coming.
But I'm all for sustainability. To answer your question. I don't like gratuitous marketing of it just to try and market yourself as being someone better than others. In other words, we all do it. We all should do it. I don't think there's a need to keep telling people that we're doing it. I don't think.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're a best-in-class operator anywhere in the food business, you have your finger on the pulse of these issues, and you're thinking about them long before, and you're acting on them long before they become even a trend in conversation aloud, in articles in publishing or online or what have you, because there's no way you stay that far ahead in running a great business that people want to stand behind without doing it. And so sometimes as operators, we get into the place of like, well, I can tell you what I'm doing, but it feels weird to tell you what I'm doing because I do it because it's the right thing to do, not because it's what makes me sound better when I'm talking about it. When I think about sustainability, I also go like, guys, all those things are real and right and concerns, and there are so many other concepts around sustainability that we have to be aware of. Like, what's the sustainability of entrepreneurship? What's the sustainability of just restaurants and food and beverage establishments in New York City? I mean, as many open as close on a weekly basis, and the concept of sustainability is deeper in every way in which you start to dig into it, and they're real concepts, and they're scary, and they're things that we all play a role in, not just when we sit down to eat and go, where's my beef from? Where's my this? Are you composting? Who are you supporting? What is my extra $1 or $2? What does it go to fund? There are so many more deeper concepts, though at least this concept is the start in a deeper conversation.
Yeah, no, it's a story. I mean, I think people, I think diners so much like to have a story or like to feel a little bit good when they're eating their steak dinner. They're like butcher's feast. So
Yes.
it gives you.
So as far as
offset.
sustainability is concerned, I think I'm in a pretty unique position, right? Because I have no intention of slowing down my expansion of steakhouse, right? So I'm in a unique position where it's not about sustainability again. It's about regenerative farming. So it's not about, obviously as a conscious operator, efficient operator, I think sustainability is obviously part of our natural operation. But that being said, as what I see is the beef industry, the way we know it, has been getting the bad rap that is actually destructive to the planet. But what we don't understand, there was thousands and millions of buffaloes that was roaming in America. We didn't have any challenges with methane gases and whatnot. So I guess my point here is, again, it's a tool, right? Beef is a tool, and again, if it's used in a destructive manner, it would do tremendous damage. But if it's used as a tool to regenerate, I do believe that it can actually be good. Not sustainable, but good for the planet. And I can go on, but I don't want to bore you right now.
We have so much more to talk about. Another thing I wanted to bring up, which is another big term here, are millennials, which here at Bloomberg, we've blamed them for killing them all, killing American cheese, killing everything.
Killing American cheese?
They are the reason, although I don't really think American cheese is gone, but that's another topic. It is. I want to talk about so there's also the perception that millennials are staying home and sitting on their couch and ordering from Caviar and Uber Eats, and I wonder if they seem to be, I think for you, like every single person I know wants a birthday cake truffle, and I think that you like go across like generations and audiences, and so I wonder like how you see, but if they're the people who want to build a cake or want to build their own cookie, like they're going to make the craziest ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this concept of wanting to stay home because we have kind of more power with the tiny little tool in our hands to cater to us. Yes, you can blame that on millennials, but like, I'm not a millennial, and I do that sometimes. It's raining outside, and it's cold 100%. That's how I'm thinking about it. I think the way that I've thought about Milk Bar as it sort of relates to this is there's good and there's bad. Like there's healthy tension. We get great things from the way the world is changing and the way the millennial generation is changing and informing that. And we rise to the challenge in these other ways where it's like, okay, that's totally fine if you want to order online some nights, no big deal. But also then it's up to us to build like a magical universe of a New York City flagship that's like, there's only one way you can build your own pint of ice cream, and that's doing it in real life. So come on out and get crazy with us and to build something that is worth leaving your house for, if that's like the sliver of the concept around millennial. And that's kind of for me, that's like a fun problem to solve, not one that we're like sitting in the corners of our desks at Milk Bar, sort of, like lamenting over. It's just like the world has changed so much in 11 years, and the way in which we've like risen to every one of those challenges has in many ways, shapes, and forms been how we defined our business, our space in the world, our voice, our creativity in problem solving and challenging. I mean, anyone that's been in business for more than a few years is going to be up against the challenges that they face with like just changing consumer trends, whether it's generation to generation or how they think about using a business or incorporating a business in a part of their life.
Stephen, what do you think?
What was the question again?
Millennials, are they? Do you think they're helping drive traffic at your restaurants, or do you see them as a potential problem? Because certainly there was some charts somewhere, but we saw like 2019 has not been a great year for dining, and there was a question about whether that's got a lot to do with people ordering in.
So again, I think just like the sustainability stuff, it becomes like a big talking point for journalists and fodder for CNN to do a report on millennials and all this. They're just people, millennials. They're not like aliens. Like, look at the millennials that come. They're people. And the good thing about millennials is that they're going to get old. And
They are getting old, yeah.
And I'm thrilled about millennials because now you have the giant population, the biggest part of our population, that we can get hooked on the stuff that we do while they're millennials, and slowly they'll stay with us, hopefully, as they become like us. And I'm not scared of I'm not scared of them. I welcome them, and we just have to adjust, just like you do to any demographic, to what they like. You know, there's things that baby boomers like that millennials aren't interested in. Just as when I was young, there were things that older people liked that I wasn't interested in. But they don't dislike everything that we have.
Attribute to them?
No, they don't. They love some of the same things that you love and I love, and it's just it's food. It's food, and I had a good year in 2019. No,
I know. No, you guys all did.
we had no drop in business.
I'm gonna quickly direct everyone to the TYA luxury app because we have a fun question to ask, which is New York City dining dead? I know you guys probably with a powerhouse up here, you're gonna say no way, but there have been so many notable openings in Los Angeles. Like I hear in my restaurant world, I hear Los Angeles every day, and so I'm so sick of it. But I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys think New York City is a powerhouse forever, we have the deepest bench, or if there's cause to be alarmed. So we're going to answer that question up here in a second. But Simon, I think like your restaurant, there's, to keep throwing things at the millennial thing, they supposedly don't eat any meat and they go home early, and you have not seen that, right?
Not at all. We've actually seen the reverse. You know, I think, as Stephen said, I think we're trying to figure out millennials. What do they like? What do they not like? As Stephen said, there are people. There's millennials that likes meat, and there are millennials that doesn't like meat. You know, so majority of our guests are kind of millennial and esque guests, and they love eating meat. And they love staying out late. So we just actually, 3 weeks ago, started opening late night. So we opened our kitchen until 1 a.m. And literally the first week we opened, we're filled. So the millennials, I feel like just, you know, because I'm in a unique position again, right? Because I'm actually, I was born in 1982. So I think they call me like Zennial. The Gen X between a millennial, so I kind of can glide either side. But I think that millennials are they're starting to make real money. They're starting to actually enjoy life the way they want to, not the way kind of their older people expect them to. So they're starting to really kind of find their identity, and I think their habits and how. Like habitual things and lifestyle is, for the first time really being figured out, and I think it's really being celebrated. So I'm very excited.
I think his concept also is very appealing to 20-somethings and early 30s, and I think the whole Korean thing is so hot amongst young people. I mean, everyone wants
Well,
to
it's
go.
fun. For anyone who hasn't been to Cote, it's really great because it really is this terrific mashup of a steakhouse. He sources this terrific meat that we could keep talking about, but we won't. And then on a Korean barbecue setup, but a really nice, like it feels very like you're going to a club, but you're like barbecuing, and it's really cool. So we have some awesome, yay New York City. If you guys can see the poll. There's a little bit of concern about New York, but for the most part, we're killing it. So yay. I think awesome. Do you guys have any thoughts? Are you concerned at all about New York City?
I'm not concerned about it. New York City is still the greatest city in the world.
Yay.
Bravo.
Forever. I mean, it's
Awesome.
in California. There's good restaurants, but I was there and they're good. And you walk in and it feels like it's going to be awesome, but the food wasn't as good as
It's
what
not.
I'm used to here.
It's just
However, I do have another thought, and I'm going to indict myself here. I don't think anything that cool's been opening here for a long time, and even myself. Like I'm looking for the next something that's big, but I can't figure out what that is. It's all kind of the same.
Well, let's
And I'm
predict
looking-
it. Here we are.
And the other thing I want to say this too, and this is generational and probably showing age here. New York is not sexy, right? It's sort of, you go to London and they got a thing there. They get dressed up and there's going out is still romantic and a little bit sexy. And I'm not saying that everything has to be like that. I don't think the majority of it has to be like that. But there is no sexiness here. Everybody's in jeans and I'm in jeans and not tonight, but
Sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, jeez, Stephen.
no one wants to go out anywhere and ever get kind of dressed up because it doesn't feel right. And I'm part of that crowd that would say that. But I think when you go to London, it's a little more exciting. It's not as exciting here as I remember it a very long time ago.
It's a little, I take that point. Christina, what do you think? Are you worried about New York at all?
I'm not worried about New York, like holding its own in like the wild, wonderful world of restaurants and food. I do think we have to be careful about certain economics around what it takes to run a great restaurant and one that's willing to invest in magic, not just in like the basic economics of running a restaurant. And as diners, we have to be prepared to like show up 7 days a week, because you kind of have to be open 7 days a week if you're going to pay the rent in New York City. And to put a premium on someone that's willing to make a space that you want to get excited about and get dressed up for and have a moment at. And I think the reason that you're seeing food scenes in other markets pop up is because the interconnectivity of whether it's millennials or any generation just being excited about food. The reason things are opening up in LA is because it's a very large city and people are excited about food and they're demanding a food scene and they're not all going to get on a plane to come to New York City. So you're seeing these other food cities starting to pop up and trying to hold their own. And I think that's incredible and commendable, but I don't think anything will ever replace the impact that New York City has on the dining scene.
I want to say one other thing.
Okay.
The other thing here, and I'm a Democrat, okay, is that the rents are still sky high. The labor laws and the mandated wages, which I support to a point, are that combined with the rents are making it very difficult to do magic, right? You could open a little restaurant with 50 seats and spend a modest amount of money and have great food. But to do those things that I've done here, it's becoming worse because the margins are going like this. If you saw a graph of my company in terms of the EBITDA, sales have gone way up, but the EBITDA has gone down in New York because of those things.
Everybody go out and support your local New York restaurants. Let's stay strong, and thank you so much for being here. Yay. And yay, thanks for this awesome